So
yeah, you definitely got to give Ryan his props for going out there and making the fights that people want to see. Yeah, like I said, we kind of treated him a little bit as a joke before, but he's not that. He's a very skilled fighter. Like I said, I don't think he's on the same level as Tank and Haney, but like I said, he's the one going out there making those happen. Now you got to get in there and you got to win.
yeah, or don't. De La Hoya never did. Yes, Ring Kings podcast is back. Look, we're sorry. We're sorry. I know we keep saying we'll be back soon. We're going to come back with more content, and it's been a while. Okay, and we're down one today, but don't you worry. OTR Mike will be back. He's doing his coaching thing right now. It's been hectic for him, but OTR Mike will be back soon. All right, but you got me and Brodny today. All right, I know it's been a while. You guys might not recognize us, but I'm Jose. That's Brodny. All right, 2/3 of Ring Kings podcast. Look, there's a lot that we've missed, but that's okay because boxing is ongoing. There's a lot to discuss still. All right, and we came back just in time because we just witnessed yesterday. Was it yesterday? No, Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday.
It was Thursday. The Teofimo versus Jamaine Ortiz fight, which was depends on how you look at it, right?
Thrilling.
Yeah, it was not a exciting fight as many would say, but it was a competitive fight, and it ended in a little bit of controversy. Okay, Teofimo gets the unanimous decision, and a lot of people argue that he did not win that fight. I'm one of them. I had Ortiz winning, but look, the way that it went, I wouldn't say that it was a robbery, per se, that Ortiz didn't get the decision. I will say it was a robbery on one of the scorecards. One of the scorecards was 117 to 111. I don't like that. But when you have a fight that's not a lot of activity, and you leave it to the judge's hands, and I would say it was close enough to where you can argue Teofimo, but I didn't have Teofimo winning that one.
I would disagree. I would say it was a robbery. I thought Ortiz won and he won easily. The talk about Ortiz, after the fight from the commentators and everything was that, oh, well, he didn't do enough damage. He didn't make Teofimo pay. He only landed 10 plus punches in one round. Teofimo did it, I think, in 2 rounds, which is fine. That's all true. But my question is, what did Teofimo do to win the fight? And the answer is absolutely nothing.
Yeah, but I will say this: there was enough rounds where you could say, all right, not a whole lot of activity from either fighter, but it appeared Teofimo was trying to be the aggressor, right? Because that's what people will say. Hey, Ortiz was running a lot. I don't really look at it that way, and the judges should be more experienced in this.
Well, and that's what I was going to say. Like, yeah, people don't judge the fights. You're supposed to be professional judges. Mm-hmm. You should be able to tell what's happening in the ring. And just like in the Sandor Martin fight,
yep.
Ortiz was just leading him around the ring. He wasn't. I told you right after we finished watching it, he wasn't the aggressor. He wasn't, coming forward all fight. He was going where Ortiz wanted him to go. Because Teofimo, and then Timothy Bradley pointed out during the fight multiple times, Teofimo doesn't know how to cut off the ring.
Yeah.
So he's just following Ortiz around, throwing and not landing. Didn't land really anything significant in the fight,
no.
And wasn't controlling the fight. So if you're going to look at rounds and say, hey, yeah, it wasn't a whole lot of offense either way, I look at that and say, but Ortiz was still executing his game plan and Teofimo was not.
I agree.
And I just don't see how you come back with Teofimo won that fight other than unfortunately, this happens in boxing a lot. He's the champion. He's the big name. I gave him the round.
And that's what it was, and that's why I didn't like, because what stood out for me, because early on I was just like, you can't win like this. But what stood out to me is, like you said, he did kind of control where the fight went, because at no point did he really get backed up on the ropes.
No.
There's a couple of times that Teofimo tried to make it happen. He just got off the ropes. Like it was no problem. He controlled the ring. And the times where Teofimo got frustrated, he said, okay, I'm not going to go for it. I'm going to come back here. You want to stand there? I'll come backwards and let's see what you do. Ortiz obliged. He said, okay, I'll come forward. And he mixed it up with Teofimo. And those rounds I scored easily for Ortiz because, again, not a lot of action, but the action that we saw really came from Ortiz. I know the CompuBox numbers at the end showed that they had similar output. It didn't look that way, though. He's landed 2 more punches, threw more, landed 2 more punches. It seemed like he landed a lot more than I think the disparity. I don't know. I'm not sure how accurate CompuBox is, but the disparity looked different, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think that it's a difference between what people believe the sport is and what the people involved want the sport to be, right?
Yeah.
And Terrence Crawford was saying that after the fight as well, that fans kind of look at that kind of performance and they immediately say, a guy who's fighting like Ortiz is running. Well, but he's not running; he's boxing.
Yes.
Which is supposed to be the name of the game, right? But what they're essentially doing, because Ortiz doesn't have a lot of power, and Teofimo does, and I don't know how great a chin Ortiz has, but in a slugfest, a fight where he's standing and engaging with Teofimo, you would kind of assume that Teofimo would get the better of him. So when you judge a fight like that, the way the judges did, you're essentially telling those kind of fighters there's no way for you to beat Teofimo.
Yeah.
Because outboxing him, we're not going to give you that. You have to stand and fight and entertain the fans if you want to win this fight. And that's not always a viable approach, depending on your skill set. Like in this fight, he stayed away because he didn't want to get hit with those big shots from Teofimo and potentially get knocked out or TKO'd. So he outboxed him all night. He neutralized Teofimo's power. He frustrated Teofimo. And the judges were like, no, not like that.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Running away, like I know what running away looks like, right? It was what that guy Cameron did to Boots Ennis. He didn't
famously Oscar De La Hoya did with Felix Trinidad for the second half of that fight.
Yeah. Like when you're just trying to avoid and you're not really throwing any punches, and Boots Ennis handled it well, right? He was able to cut off more, and he was able to clearly win those rounds. There's no round that we looked at and said, "Oh, Karen could have won that round." No, right? And that's what Teofimo needed to do. But I think Teofimo is a very good fighter. I mean, he shows it, right? He's the thing is he's very up and down, and the weakness he has is a glaring weakness. He doesn't know how to cut off the ring, right? He doesn't know how to move around the ring, and against fighters like that no, he just looks flat-footed. You can neutralize his power by just staying out of range. He can't really close the gap between you, and you can pick him apart. So very concerning. And this is the other thing about Teofimo that we've been saying forever. His dad hinders him because his dad, I mean, he's just in that corner. I don't know what he's telling him.
Yeah, and I would disagree slightly again. I would say that Teofimo is very gifted.
Yeah.
I think he's a very good fighter. He's not a good boxer, as we see now in a couple of his recent fights.
That's
with
fair.
And Martinez, he's not a good boxer because cutting off the ring is a pretty basic thing that you learn how to do.
Yeah,
he said no, like Deontay Wilder. He's a good fighter. He's not a good boxer.
I don't think he's Deontay Wilder.
He's not as bad, skill. But I'm saying it's the same kind of thing.
It is ain't just Deontay Wilder. We both like Deontay Wilder, but I mean, come on. I mean,
that's what it is.
Yeah. So very concerning because he came off the Josh Taylor fight looking excellent.
Yeah, he looked great in that fight.
He looked great. The Sandor Martin fight that we were at, he looked just like this. And I think that was more of a robbery.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't. It wasn't like Sandor Martin really didn't do anything in that fight.
He put him down. I mean, the thing is, he knocked him
Yeah,
down. The second one, they didn't count as a knockdown.
Yeah,
Even we were sitting close. We thought it was a slip, but you saw the replay. It was a clear knockdown.
Yeah.
He should have won that fight.
Possibly. At the time, I was like, I don't think he did enough, because he wasn't even really engaging even as much as Ortiz did, if my memory serves. But, look, I'm not going to give him the benefit of the doubt anymore. Like, after another performance like that, like, you can't keep giving these fights to Teofimo. And after the fight, you could tell that he knew he performed poorly. He knew probably that he lost that fight because he went on another wild and crazy Teofimo rant that made absolutely no sense after the fight.
Well, he started crying after they announced the decision because I think he felt that, man, here we go. I'm having another setback. I didn't win this fight, and they called his name. He was like, oh, thank God, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I saw something from his dad talking about how Ortiz should be banned from boxing or something like that. Something nonsense like that because fighters don't fight the way you want them to fight. You're frustrated. And going back before even the Sandor Martin fight, before he fought Lomachenko, who was it that he fought that gave him trouble? He's just like, I don't want to fight another tall fighter again.
Nakatani.
It was Nakatani. Yes. Yeah. Right. Like there's a lot of different styles that give him trouble. And he's just like, well, I don't like that. Right. I don't like to fight that way. Right. Mm-hmm. Well, I hate to tell you, man, there's all different types of styles of fights. And the guys that frustrate you, man, you still got to be able to shine if you want to be one of the greats.
Or go to bare knuckle boxing.
Or UFC or something. I don't know. But he, like B said, Teofimo is very gifted. Obviously, he has skill. I mean, he dismantled Josh Taylor. No problem. He beat Lomachenko flat out. That was no controversy. He beat that man, right? Mm-hmm. So you can't take that away from him. But he lost to Kambosos flat out.
And he didn't look good in his first fight at 140. He didn't look good against Sandor Martin. Didn't look good against Ortiz. So he's very, very up and down.
Very up and down. And that doesn't, I mean, we'll see. Like at some point when we start to see these fights with Devin Haney, if Devin Haney is still at 140 at that point, I mean, he fights at 170 now. he's a light heavyweight masking as a junior welterweight, right? Yeah.
Or even Keyshawn Davis, who was on this card and stole the show like Xander Zayas did on the Sandor Martin card. Keyshawn Davis had a fight against Jose Pedraza. He looked great.
He did.
He put Pedraza away, and he called out Teofimo after the fight. I don't think Teofimo wants to see Keyshawn Davis. I think Teofimo's got to where he's at right now. He's got to very carefully pick his next opponent.
Keyshawn Davis looks very focused. Bomac is his trainer too. He's got an excellent trainer. Keyshawn's gonna be ready. I'll just put it like that. Keyshawn was very confident after the fight, calling out Teofimo. He said, "Hey, handle business tonight, and let's make it happen."
Teofimo was like, "No," but then they gave him the win anyway. So we'll see.
Yeah.
But speaking of, another champion at 140 who could be in Teofimo's future, Devin Haney has now officially signed to fight Ryan Garcia. And, they had a little altercation or something, they a little run-in where they went chest to chest and scream some nonsense at each other.
A little shoulder bump walking around in a circle.
Yeah. and it's hilarious because, like, I know you're not actually mad. Like, you stood there for a minute just yelling nonsense at each other, and then one of you was like, "Oh man, I forgot to push him," and then Ryan Garcia pushed him.
You're whack. No, you're whack.
Right. Come on, man. So that was nonsense, but it's a very, very good fight. Very good fight. Very happy that they made it. I think it's going to be real interesting. I think that obviously Haney has he's put on a couple of master classes in boxing in his last few outings.
Yes.
So I think he's a more skilled fighter than Ryan Garcia, but Ryan Garcia does have the hand speed. He does have the power, and he's a skilled fighter in his own right, and he has size. which is something that most Haney opponents don't have. But he's a bigger fighter. So, I think it's going to be very, very interesting.
Yeah, I agree, and we're teasing the whole altercation thing, but this is how you sell fights in boxing.
Yeah.
You do what you gotta do. I'm gonna make fun of it because it looked staged, but some people will eat that up, and that's the point, right? They'll do more of these staged incidents as well in the future. But yeah, this is. I don't want to get into the whole thing about you know, Haney fans and Tank fans, because I mean, and this is all Bill Haney's fault, by the way. But it's out there. It's out there. You're fighting Tank's leftovers and all that stuff, right? Haney fans are saying, "Hey, Ryan Garcia is supposed to be one of the four kings, and this is a better version of Ryan Garcia that Haney's fighting, even though Ryan Garcia and Tank they fought like a year ago." I mean, I'll say this. I will say this. We both expect Haney to put on a masterclass, right? He's an excellent boxer, but a couple of things to look out for, right? If you're Team Haney, is when they're doing their back and forth leading up to the fight, Ryan Garcia is absolutely going to get under Haney's skin. He already mentioned it in the little altercation. He brought up Tank, right? Well, they both brought up Tank, but he brought up Tank about how Tank whooped him in sparring and all that stuff. He's definitely going to throw those shots out there during the press conferences. Hey, Tank might put me down, but we know you can't, right? Mm-hmm. Like he's gonna say stuff like that. Well, you ain't got the power. I know you ain't got the power to do it. So I ain't worried about that. We can throw down. And if he taunts him enough into trying to square up with Ryan Garcia, that's where you take Haney out of his game, right? That's not his game. He's not a knockout artist. He's not a power puncher, right? Excellent boxer. But if you go in there trying to mix up with Ryan Garcia, you play into his hands. Ryan Garcia has very fast hands, has a deadly left hook, and he's got power. And Devin Haney doesn't have the best chins, right? He hasn't been put down, but he's been wobbled, right? Yeah. That can make the fight interesting. I wouldn't recommend doing that. And that's the other thing too, right? Because if he doesn't knock out Ryan Garcia, you're going to hear it from Tank fans. Mm-hmm. Well, Tank put him away. Why didn't you put him away? But you can't play into that. You just got to fight your game.
Yeah. Because, in theory, this all ends up with a Haney versus Tank fight. Like them actually fighting each other instead of sniping each other through the media. And then, all the stuff you said and all whatever happened in the other fights doesn't mean anything. But yeah, like you said, I don't think that Haney would be well served to get baited into more of a slugfest with Garcia. I'm not saying he couldn't win that; he still could. Yeah, but it's not. More dangerous. I think it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't play to his strengths. So if he goes out there and fights his fight, it should be a relatively easy night for him, and an easy win. But we'll have to wait and see. Garcia does have his new trainer, Derek James, that he's training with. He is a skilled fighter. So maybe he has something we haven't seen before, but based off of what we've seen of their careers up to this point, I would say that Haney could probably outbox him fairly easily.
Yeah. I think this won't be as easy because yes, Ryan Garcia does seem more focused after getting knocked out by Tank. He did get with Derek James. Derek James is no joke, right? Mm-hmm. No nonsense. And I think, Ryan Garcia kind of grew up a little bit. I think he understands you got to take this a little bit more seriously than you have in the past. And it's crazy, right? Like, who knew out of all these fighters, right? Lomachenko, Haney, Tank, Shakur Stevenson, Teofimo, out of all these guys that we keep talking about need to fight each other, it's Ryan Garcia that's really pushing the action. Mm-hmm. That's the guy that we talked about is the least serious. When we first started, we were like, Ryan Garcia is not serious. He's the worst out of all of them. He's the least he's not serious. He's just there for clicks and all that stuff. But he's the one that made it happen with Tank, He's the one that's making it happen with Devin Haney, and I don't think he will stop here either, win or lose. He'll try to take get a fight with Shakur Stevenson. He put that out there.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you definitely got to give Ryan his props for going out there and making the fights that people want to see. Like I said, we kind of treated him a little bit as a joke before, but he's not that. He's a very skilled fighter. I don't think he's on the same level as Tank and Haney, but like I said, he's the one going out there making those happen. Now you got to get in there and you got to win.
Yeah, or don't. De La Hoya never did. Right? Doesn't De La Hoya get all this credit for all these people he fought? But but which ones did he beat?
He didn't even beat Ike Cortez, if we're being honest.
Facts. All right, so this is short and sweet, man. We're going to come back with the whole crew. Mikey will be here next time, and we're gonna give you a full episode, but more content is on the way. Don't you worry. All right. Sorry for the long layoff, but man, our fans are loyal. We didn't have any fall off on subscribers at all. Right. Now we'll see how many people view the video. That's another thing. But all right. If you are new, this is your first time seeing us and you like the content, hit that subscribe button. All right. Turn on that notification bells because we will be coming out with some more content very soon. Also, if you want to support the show even further, all right, patreon.com/LBHTShow. Okay. LBHT stands for Lunch Break Hot Take. That is our main sports channel. All right. We're a lot more active over there. Don't you worry. Okay. And we actually do a Combat Corner segment every Wednesday on our main show. All right. So we still give the Bonsley content every week. Actually, we just got to put more over here on this channel. All right. But if you're looking for more content, you're looking for a Discord, and we have a Ring Kings channel in our Discord. You can find out on Patreon. Patreon.com/LBHTShow is how you do that. But all right, y'all, that is it for this video. We'll be back next time, fully staffed. All right. Peace.